STN Racing proudly presents the HIP Motorsports Summer Racing Championship. Just 4 races left in the season, including tonight, and we come to you live from Road Atlanta. It's the second and last USA race on the schedule as we tackle the just over 2.5-mile speedway, 12 turns in total. It should be a lot of fun for these drivers using the IR01s around this speedway. Glad to have you along for the ride, everybody. Jacob Pitts, Joey Tevin here with you for the call. Zach Johnson, our producer for tonight, as always. And Joey, it's our first broadcast of this series, but it's not the first race on the series this season.
No, it is not. They've run a few races already, but we will be showing them off to the public for the first time, and I think we're in for quite a show, if I do say so myself. You called it a speedway in the intro. It is a road course, but it's the closest thing to a speedway you're going to get. These guys, the fastest drivers, running times are shorter than a minute. We saw 58 seconds, 59 seconds at the top of the timesheets in practice. See on your screen right now, cars going around in qualifying. Could we see drivers get down into the 57s? I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, right now, nobody's even broken that 1-minute barrier. Fastest lap, Daniel Morad, the lone pro driver that is in the field for tonight. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. He sits at the top of the board with a minute.108 as drivers continue to click off lap times. But a driver to watch, the 10 of Gary Sanders, who set the fastest lap in practice that just ended a few minutes ago. Sanders comes across the front straightaway to finish his first lap time, and he does break the minute barrier, a 59.083, as Morad also breaks it, a 59.203. So just about 2/10 off from the fastest man in town right there, Gavin Sanders.
Totally not worrying for the field when you have a driver going a second faster than you on his first lap. But Daniel Morad, like you said, only a 10th off now. Eric Dallariva, 6/10 behind. About half the field, just a little bit over half the field, has qualified at the moment. On your screen right now, you see that is Daniel Morad in that black and red car. Interesting livery on a very interesting car. Maybe it's red, maybe it's orange, who knows? But he's getting definitely a little bit of a draft from, that is Eric Dallariva up ahead. These two are fighting for second and third, so Dallariva doesn't want to be given too much of a draft to his rival Daniel Morad, but we'll see how they compare as they come through the last corner.
Round turn 12, turned into Rick Allen there for a second. Morad comes across the stripe. Can't do much of anything with that one. I think he may have gotten a little too wide and exceeded track limits because his lap time did not count. Just some dash marks on the scoreboard for that last time around for Daniel Morad. Looking at the classes, like I mentioned, as he just cuts a corner there, hits the wall, up and over goes Daniel Morad for a moment, comes back down to earth, spins across the other way around the racetrack. An interesting choice nonetheless, but he'll go back to the pits and he'll come back out and take another stab at it as we have just over 10 minutes left in the session. Now, about the levels here that we have, the classes, if you will. We will see the classes in effect at the last race on the schedule, which is a long ways away, 4 weeks from tonight, when we go on to visit Le Mans, which will always be fun when we go to that Goliath racetrack over in France. We go to, well, we're here at Road Atlanta. Then the next week we go to Mount Panorama, for those of you familiar, Bathurst. So we head to Australia. We take the GTE cars out for a spin there. Then we go to Suzuka, take the GT3 cars to Japan, where they're having the Olympics coming up this week. And then Le Mans the following week, with all 3 classes coming together, GTE, GT3, as well as the LMP2 car, the HPD machine.
Luke Tucciaroni here getting absolutely held up by Leo Mora. Not going to be very happy about this, especially in the S's. That's where you're going to want to carry as much speed as humanly possible, and unfortunately, Leo just parked the bus right in front of Luke, and this is not going to be a very good lap. And he gets out of the way, which is good, but it's been long enough stuck behind him, that's not really going to matter. He's going to have to wait until he starts a new lap to get any chance of a good time here. But I tell you what, Leo's in the draft. He's trying to make the move back.
Mora locked it up into that last corner. That allowed Tucciarone to get by him. They're still side by side as they come around. So far, so good as they head to turn 11, now to turn 12. Mora looks to the inside, won't get there, but here comes contact behind him. Around goes Mora. Another car sideways for the moment, able to hang on to it. That is Kai Dial in the number 44. Great job hanging on to the race car. Might have a little bit of front wing damage with that contact between him and Mora, but nonetheless, Tucciarone survives another day and just had to look at the carnage through his mirror.
You would think it was the race with the way those guys were racing each other, but it is still qualifying. 7 minutes and 50 seconds left to go, as there he goes off into the grass. Is he going to get it slowed down before he hits the wall? Oh, just barely. There's about an inch between the tires and the wall. Not going to matter. He resets the car anyway. Kai Dial currently 7th in qualifying. He is 1.7 seconds off pole, but that is because Gavin Sanders has just pulled out an absolutely mammoth lap of 58.8 compared to second place Daniel Moore at 59.2. So there's 4/10 at the top of it. It's about what we saw in practice. So we'll see if Morad can maybe bring down that gap. Maybe James Houghton, who's in third, has a little bit more in the tank. No, Daniel Morad has nothing in the tank right now. He parks it on the side of the track. And this 4-car train right here, that's Dial in the blue car. Stefan Uriadka leads the train, then Dial, then Martin, and then DeFranco. So DeFranco's getting like a quadruple draft here, and that might help him because he's in 18th right now. He's a couple seconds off the pace. So if he gets a good draft here, he's not going to get a good draft there because they parked it in the middle of the track.
Yeah, that's the one thing where if you get too many cars in front of you and you're faster than all of them, you're going to come up on them in a bad spot like he did right there, and he's going to slide it, trying to get to pit road in turn 11, able to hang on to the race car as somebody crashes just up the road. It's Stefan Uriadka in the 951 who got the outside of the pit wall there in the same corner. So chaos early and often, and we'll break down what these drivers face in the race here once this is said and done. 6 minutes left in qualifying. Gavin Sanders still up by 0.4 of a second over Daniel Morad. Keep in mind that Gavin Sanders is one of the B drivers. Daniel Morad, as I mentioned earlier, the only pro driver in the field. What does this mean? Well, the pro drivers, they are on a pro level in either sim racing here on iRacing or in the real world. We do have a couple of folks that do drive for IMSA. In the real life cars, and then amateur A, well, A, amateur A, and then B, amateur B. We'll have designated colors for you up on the ticker once we get the green flag and get this thing ready to roll.
Only 3 drivers haven't set a lap yet. Goggles Paisano is nowhere to be seen. Paul Nito nowhere to be seen, and Renison Lowe nowhere to be seen yet. We hope they will return in time for the race, but as of right now, they are not taking any laps.
Well, Goggles is the one of the admins for the server, so it's actually a name from the Flintstones cartoons from way back in the day in the 60s. So you won't see the 34 out on the racetrack the rest of the way. John Venditti is the man behind the account who's running the show for us tonight, running the server for us. Renison Lowe and Paul Nito, however, they are actual humans, and we hopefully will see them out on the racetrack, as both did set a time in practice.
Daniel Morad is just having a tough it was a tough time for both him and Bruno Fantozzi. It's absolutely ramming into each other in the first chicane there. I don't think Morad was particularly happy to check up, and he just sent it right in there. That's a car I'd love to see, a highlighter yellow car. Everyone's favorite color. That is the car that belongs to Gary Wood in P16 at the moment. Kai Dial trying to go for the move down into the chicane. Will he be able to do it? Yes, he will. But is that going to slow both of them down once they get to the line? The answer most likely is yes, but we'll see. Riding on board with Kai, it's flat out through the last corner in these cars, and it's going to be a 1.6. 1 minute, 0.6. 5/10 off his fastest. He's currently 6th, but it is still Gavin Sanders at the top. Is he even out on track right now, or is he happy with his lap time? He is out on track, so he's trying to improve.
Out there. And Morad is coming out on the racetrack right now, just left pit road. The first car that is not on the racetrack, John Martin, who sits P9 on the board in the 16 machine, he is not on the racetrack. Plus Renison Lowe, Paul Nido, the 35, not on the racetrack. That's Keaton Pipe. We'll talk about him in a little while. Leo Mora, not on the racetrack right now, still sitting on pit road, but not actually driving the race car. Same with Sam Couillard, who was parked on pit road. As we are just about 2.5 minutes away from the end of qualifying, and right now, Joey, for these guys, this is the last chance they're going to have to set down a flyer.
Not much time left to go. I wonder if Gavin Sanders got a 1X with the way he went off on that corner we just saw, but we'll have to wait until the end of this lap to see. Big wiggle going out onto the back straight. He is probably going to lose time from that as well, and there's a big gaggle of slower cars up ahead. I don't think he's going to be able to improve this time. He can certainly try, but he's going to have traffic and maybe a couple more mistakes. There's only 2 minutes left, so he's only going to get 2 more shots at it if he's lucky.
We'll see what these guys can do. Sanders still out there, still trying to put down a flyer. As he's off, coming around through turns 3 and 4, headed up through the S's.
And nope. Woo! Nope. Not going to improve. It wasn't even a brake check. It wasn't even a brake check from Austin Riley, but he was just exiting at such a lower rate of speed that Sanders had absolutely nowhere to go. I don't even think he had any damage from that, but he had to absolutely slam on the brakes. He's not going to be especially happy with that. We'll see if he can get by into the braking zone here. He'll have one more shot at it. It is 15-minute qualifying. There's 1 minute left on the clock.
He's got it.
So this will be the last one for him.
Draft. And that's something to keep in mind. I don't know how much draft played a factor in his fastest lap, but he no longer has that draft. He's got a long way to the next car in front of him. That next car being Bruno Fantozzi in the 25. As here comes Sanders, goes wide. He's going to hit the tires hard.
And that is a destroyed motor vehicle, but it's still driving with that rear-wheel drive. But he's not going to go any further. Daniel Morad just got a very large draft down the back straight. He's sitting at a 59.2. He's going to cross the line here, maybe improve with that big of a draft, and he's going to get one more shot at it at that. Crosses the line at 51.0. He improves by 2 whole tenths, but he still needs 2 more to catch Gavin. He's going to have no help on this lap whatsoever. It's going to end.
Oh, he lost it.
Nope, second place.
Tried to cut as much as he could and just got a little too much grass and lost control of the car. He was tracking about a tenth quicker than Sanders that early on in the run, but could not get it done. Red flag, checkered flag is out in qualifying, and at this point, nobody else is anywhere close to getting to Gavin Sanders. So Gavin Sanders is going to start from the pole position here at Road Atlanta. How about that for the amateur driver?
In the amateur A class, so he's not at the lowest level. He's not an amateur B driver, but he is at a lower level than our pro Daniel Morad. But he's certainly driving like a pro, 2 tenths over the field. But will he be able to hang on in the race? We saw a lot of mistakes in the qualifying session when people were pushing at their hardest. Will they have to tone it back a little bit in the race? Maybe keep the tires under you, don't spin, don't hit the wall, or could we see more mistakes in the race? And that could really open things up.
Just have to wait and see. One thing to keep in mind, 15-minute session here for qualifying. The race is 45 minutes long. It is timed. So they don't have a set number of laps to complete. They just keep going till we hit the 45-minute clock, till that expires, and we'll get the white flag and the checkered flag to wrap things up. Some notes about this series and about this race tonight, since it is the first time we are covering this series here on SDN. Setup for tonight here at Road Atlanta, it is a fixed setup with a high downforce package. They've got 75% fuel load in the cars. They have unlimited tires at their disposal, and they have unlimited fast repairs. So you could realistically drive off into turn number 1, hit the wall head on, come back out a lap later, and still have a chance at placing in a decent spot, depending on how the rest of the cards fall. It eliminates that issue of if you make contact, your day is most likely done. You can still fight for points. The only problem is if you have to use a fast repair, you're likely going to lose a chance at getting the race win, unless it's just like contact and you're all the way up at the front. Have to wait and see. Let's take a look at the grid for today's race here at Road Atlanta. Gavin Sanders on the pole, as I mentioned, with Daniel Morad in the second spot. James Houghton in third with Eric Dallariva in fourth. In fifth, you've got the 74 of Luke Tucciaroni. In sixth, Kai Dial. Seventh, Timothy Salvatore. Eighth, Bruno Fantozzi. Starting in ninth, it is the 99, Steven Nagovan, and then in 10th, Val DiPietro.
Then down in 11th place, the second half of the grid, is John Martin. He's alongside Austin Riley. Then it's Sam Huard and Thomas Langeal, Michael Puchik, Gary Wood, Lawrence DeFranco, Leo Mora, Scott McGuire, and Keaton Pipe, racing under the name Hip Jackie on your graphics, but that is Keaton Pipe. And rounding out the field, Stefan Uriadka will be with us. Paul Nito, Renison Lowe will hopefully be with us. I don't see them on the grid right now, and we'll not be seeing Goggles Paisano because, as I have been educated, that is a fictional character, and we do not let fictional characters race, unfortunately.
It'd be interesting if we could let them race, huh?
I mean, it would be very interesting on the radio commentary. You just hear like, "Hey, Lois, I'm leading the race."
The drivers head around the racetrack. They will have one pace lap before we get the green flag. They'll come around up through turn 1. The drivers will get their tires heated up a little bit. Then that iRacing safety car will head to pit road, and we will not see it the rest of the way as they come off through turn 2. 3 and 4, and then the rest of the S's. And then we'll get the green flag here once they make their way all the way around this 12-turn racetrack. Final thoughts here, Joey, before we get the green flag.
Well, it's a long pace lap here. You got to go all the way around. It's a short lap, but it's a slow pace lap. So these drivers are all going to be very, very antsy once we get to the start line. You can all see them desperately trying to warm up their tires. They're basically doing standing starts while they're packed up here, heating up those rears, trying to swerve around to get all 4 tires evenly heated, but they still got quite a while to go before they can actually set these things off. That turn 1 is going to be critical here because passing, it might not be too difficult for the faster drivers, but in the midfield where everyone's pretty stuck together, that will be very interesting. But it's going to be about survival on lap 1, I think.
Just some housekeeping things. Sam Heward will miss the starting grid. He will have to start from the pits. Paul Nito, Renison Lowe are not out on the racetrack either, and they are not in the pits right now. Don't know if we'll see them come in at any point tonight as they come down the back straightaway, heading towards turn number 10. It's the chicane here at this racetrack. They'll get through the chicane, get through turn 11, and then head to turn 12. And we'll get the green flag and get this thing rolling. We're glad you're watching here on STN as 45 minutes are up on the board. I know the clock says an hour. We're only running 45 minutes. Gavin Sanders, Daniel Morad lead us around through turn 11. They'll get back up to the gears as they come under the bridge. Pace car is in. They come around to turn 12. Green flags in the air. Gavin Sanders on the gas, and we are racing at Road Atlanta.
Absolutely fantastic start from Gavin Sanders. Really got off the line well, and then did a nice little Simon Pagenaud swerve down the front straight while he was at it. Back through the rest of the field. It looks like everybody's actually getting through cleanly. Oh, Thomas Langeal.
Cars.
Thomas Langeal in the wall. The pink car of Negouven, yeah. And there's the yellow car of Langeal up at the top of the hill. Those two didn't survive the first lap. And I tell you what, Gavin Sanders is in the pits. We missed him. He's out. Well, he's getting a fast repair, but...
Oh, he lost it right at the same spot. Coming up the top of the hill at turn 4. Lost it and got into the tire barriers. Your race leader, your pole sitter. Oh, and he got hit again, I think. That may have just been iRacing picking up some contact when there wasn't any. Tucciaroni may have gotten there, but oh my gosh, that's such a heartbreaker. The pole sitter. Gavin Sanders wrecked on the very first lap, handing the lead over to Daniel Morad, and he's got almost a second lead over Kai Dial.
We were so focused on looking at Stefan Negouven. He's having a little bit of a Red Lobster crab fest right now, coming back to the pits. But we lost the race leader on lap 1. I was talking about how these guys might need to take it careful. They were spinning a lot in qualifying. Maybe tone it back a couple notches in the race. Gavin Sanders out of it for the moment. He's getting a tow back to the pits. We'll see him back on the track, hopefully, once he gets that fast repair. But Daniel Morad out front. He's only got a second lead over Kai Dial. So this race is not over by any sense of the word. As he swerves down the back straight. Clearly the draft very influential if he feels the need to swerve that much when Dial 7/10 back. But it's worked. He's held Dial off 8/10, 9/10, 1 point.
Dial just spun out.
I was wondering why the gap...
off of turn 11, under the bridge. Happened to look up and I saw him fall back big time. Looks like coming up over the hill. Just lost the car, almost like he was coming to pit road. And Kai Dial, second place, he spins out. Everybody else able to avoid him, but he's going to fall from 2nd to 8th.
Yeah, I saw the gap going up, and I thought he just had a bad exit. Murad was exiting very quickly, but no, he completely lost it. He's down quite a bit into 8th. I believe we're going to see a replay of what happened to the start. We didn't see what happened to Gavin Sanders, but we have found that in the old film reel. Gavin Sanders probably doesn't want us to see this. He doesn't want to remember it, but we'll see what happened to him. You can see that fantastic start defending from Morad, and he just lost it coming out of the pits, but that's irrelevant to what we're seeing right now.
From high above, catches the curb there, looking steady, comes around, still coming up to the top of the hill, and right there, just catches the curb, can't hold on to it, hard into the wall, and right there, I think a little bit of contact between him and Luke Tucciaroni, but it doesn't look like it affected Tucciaroni because he is now P4. And we got trouble. That's the 10 again sideways, Gavin Sanders. Oh my gosh, he's going to tow it back to the pits. Any possible chance he had at a good finish out the window. And again, just lost it all on his own.
Yeah, that usually happens when you're trying to push too hard. You're trying to make up for lost ground, and you just get in that vicious cycle. But if I was him, I wouldn't give up. There's still 40 minutes left in this race, and I guarantee a couple more drivers are going to make some of the same mistakes. There's still positions to be gained, even if it won't necessarily be for the win, most likely. Daniel Morad's having a little bit of a lonely race right now. He's got almost 2 seconds back to second, but he has to be careful. He can't lose it on his own because that would be most embarrassing to lose the race through only your own fault. But that's a decent turn 1 for Houghton. I tell you what, he just made up like 3/10 in one corner. Murad may be turning the wick down a little bit, or maybe these two are actually pretty equal. They were separated by about half a second in qualifying, about 2/10 in practice, so they're not the most different drivers in terms of pace. But can Houghton close the gap? And there'll be strategy too, so maybe he'll be able to jump him in a couple minutes when drivers decide to come to the pits.
Have to wait and see. Houghton in second, Dallariva in third. He was close for a moment, but Houghton has extended the gap to more than 0.6 of a second. And then Luke Tucciarone right behind him as well. So second through fourth, relatively close together. Houghton 2 seconds back on Morad as they come back around to the start-finish line. Then it's second, third, fourth. Then you got to go 5 seconds back to Val Di Pietro in the fifth spot.
I don't think Tucciarone got any damage from that lap one kerfuffle because he's going as fast as ever. There's Langeal getting into a little more trouble. He's not having the best day back in 18th, already 3 laps down. He's going to end up one more down. The front wing on that thing is gone. Is he going to try and bring it all the way around to the pits? I think he might.
Yep. At this point, you might as well. Of course, he's got a long way to go. He's off in the S's right now. So he has a long ride back to the pits as he's going to go all the way off into the gravel trap, try and stay out of the racing line. Now he's just going to park it and pull it to pit road.
Yeah, there was no reason to drive around that thing. You saw the steering wheel. It was tilted about 90 degrees. It would have probably been quicker to tow than to try and drive that thing around and potentially collect another driver while he was at it. Couple
right
laps
to go straight.
Exactly. It's like an oval, but unfortunately, you do have to turn both right and left here, so none of that steering offset will work, sadly. This is one of the closest battles on the track right now, going through the chicane. Leo, oh, was that Dial coming into the pits already?
Yeah. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. He certainly got sideways trying to get to pit road, but Kai Dial pulls it onto pit road. He was running in 11th spot. He'll come in. He'll get passed by the 35 of Keaton Pipe, and looks like he will come in and get some service at this point in time.
75% fuel for today's race, so we don't think they'll be able to make it to the end on one tank, but can you make it 38 minutes on one tank? Kai Dial only spent 7 seconds in the pits? Yeah. So did Kai fill the tank up or just take a fast repair? It's a good question. It's an interesting strategy, but we'll see if Kai can make it to the end without another stop.
So right now, James Houghton 2 seconds back on Daniel Morad for the lead. Houghton has a second and a half, though, over Eric Dallariva, who's in the third spot. Houghton with Nagovin on his back bumper in the 99. Remember, he had an issue on that opening lap. He's right now first car, 1 lap down in the 14th spot. Somebody, I thought, fly off track. I guess I'm just going crazy. I thought I saw somebody just miss a corner and go straight for a wall, but they were able to hang on for the time being. So right now, of course, you have to remember that with the classes and everything, Daniel Morad is first out of 1 in the pro division. He's the only pro driver here tonight. So Morad leads that division. Houghton leading the Amateur A class, and then it's Austin Riley, who's back P6 overall, leading this third class, this Amateur B class right now.
And it seems like just all the way around the field, it's stratified out a little bit. Nobody's especially close to each other. Or I tell you what, just as I say that, Kai Dial and Leo Mora, they're going at it. Unfortunately, it's only for about 12th place, and Mora doesn't put up much of a fight. But everybody is kind of separated. They're kind of running their own race. There's still 35 minutes to go, 36 minutes to go if we're rounding up. A lot of racing to go, a lot of mistakes to be made, a lot of mistakes to be avoided. So maybe these drivers just trying to run their own race, keep it on the track, and when the folks in front of you screw up, pick up the pieces and don't make any mistakes of your own. It's been pretty quiet for the last couple laps.
Oh, look out! Eric Dallariva into the back of Stephen Nagovin. That's third place, running in the back of lap cars who were trying to battle. It was Nagovin and Mora, and Eric Dallariva had nowhere to go but into the back of the pink car of Nagovin.
And right as I was saying that it was quieting down, it has not quieted down for Eric Dalla Riva. We saw him hit the back of Ngoven. It looked like he lost his front wing, but that thing's still on there. It's just quite a bit dented, but he can't even see the front wing from this perspective as he dives it down the inside.
And Mora's going to give him the room. In fact, that'll allow Tucciarone to get by, and Ngoven and Dalla Riva are on pit road right now.
Yeah, no point running around with that much damage, but we'll have to see if he can make it 35 minutes on fuel. It's still a question. We really don't know what the strategy is going to be today, and I don't think most of the drivers do either as they continue to circle around. Daniel Morad, he must be getting a little bit bored up front. The gap has grown to 4.5 seconds. He's got a little bit of company. Up ahead, that's the lap car of Stefan Uriadka, 2 laps down, unfortunately, but it's only 2 laps down. There's other drivers that are 3 laps down, 4 laps down, 5 laps down. So he keeps it on track. There's still ground to be made up, even if he's not really racing anybody on the same lap. And he is racing in class. He's in that B class, so he's not last there. Lots of racing to go. Here is Kai again. Kai is the next one who's going to try and pass Stefan. It's the blue car versus the red car. Not a Ferrari, but it's certainly parking the bus in front of the track like Charles Leclerc tried to do in the Ferrari last week, and I think Kai has had enough.
Yeah, off the course, Kai Dial goes again, and I think he just completely got out of the race car. Doesn't even come back to pit road, so I think Dial is going to pull the plug on the night. We have completed 11 laps thus far. Daniel Morad has led them all. It's been James Houghton in the second spot, leading Amateur A, and it's now Austin Riley in P5 overall, still leading Amateur B.
Houghton not very happy with Leo Mora on the radio, not looking in his mirrors apparently. But here's the nice little train going through the chicane. Lots of drivers on different laps. But DiPietro and Riley, this is a battle for position. This is not someone lapping someone else. We'll see if Riley can make the move up into 4th place. These two pretty equal on pace. Riley gets really squirrely on the top of the hill. That's going to lose him absolute ages going down the hill. He's going to have to wait a little while more to
Tell
catch
you what, we
Val
just had
DiPietro.
something happen with the 23. Michael Puchik made contact with the 10 of Gavin Sanders, and around he went. It broke the entire rear suspension on the back of the car on the right side of the car. Had to tow back to the pits. So contact between a lapper and Michael Puchik. He was running in 6th. He's now 13th, 2 laps down. Going to lose more spots because he is still on pit road. So Michael Puchik, the misery starts for him. For Gavin Sanders, he gets involved in another incident. This one was on the straightaway headed towards turn number 6.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took a look at that. It's just an incident of net code, so not much either of them could have done. They were going alongside each other on a straight, and netcode just fired that other car into the wall. So bad news for Puchik. Sanders getting really squirrely going up the hill. And here is one car in pit lane trying to exit. Is that Eric Dalla Riva?
No, that's
Gavin
Sanders. He came back onto pit road after the contact was made just for a few moments, and he gets back onto the racetrack. Leo Mora is back on pit road right now as we got trouble again. That's Ngoven, who's in 11th, is around. He is over in the S's. Here comes some of the pack. They're going to get through there, including the leader, who's now got the lap traffic of Gary Wood right in front of him, and then just up the road, Keaton Pipe as well.
Well,
Trouble, that's P2 around. No, it's not. I'm crazy. That's P3? 4,
P5.
P3. Well, he's falling through the field. Tucciarone, he was P3. Luke Ciccarone in the 74 is beached it pretty much. That is in turn 12, and he's going to come straight to pit road.
Hopefully he doesn't get an unsafe pit entry for that, for crossing over the grass. I don't think he will, but he's going to take the chance to come to pit road, maybe minimize the time lost.
Lost it coming up over the hill. Could not hang on to the race car. He'll come to pit road now, but that's a ton of time lost as here comes Morad. Gets by the 35 of Pipe. Morad will continue to mow through the field. As looking through the rest of the grid, Lawrence DeFranco goes off. That's off in turn 7. He's doing okay now, I think, getting it back on the racetrack. And looking around for battles, not finding much at the moment.
Yeah, that was probably the tensest moment for Daniel Morad for this entire race, trying to navigate through those lapped cars. He's not going to reach anybody else for quite a while. Next lap car is Lawrence DeFranco, who's going through the chicane right now. But he navigated those two very, I wouldn't say easily, but he navigated them very carefully. He was so close to the back of Gary Wood. He stayed out of that, didn't make any contact, kept the front wing on that car. He still keeps it rolling, but he did lose a bit of time to Houghton. So if lap traffic keeps playing a role, Houghton could definitely make up that gap. But as of right now, it's a very, very large gap.
Just have to wait and see. This race continues to roll right along. We're going to step aside here, take a break. You won't miss a thing, though. We're going to go STN side by side here from Road Atlanta. Daniel Morad continues to lead the way. We have just under 30 minutes left here from Road Atlanta. We're back after this. Drama unfolding here at Road Atlanta. The race leader, Daniel Morad, goes off the course in turn number 7. Just lost it all by himself. No contact or anything. You also saw contact between Michael Pusick and the car, the 35 of Keaton Pipe. Chaos going on here at Road Atlanta as Morad is now coming to pit road.
Everything fell apart in the break, but Morad taking this chance to make his pit stop. We'll see how he comes out compared to Houghton.
And here comes second place. DiPietro is in. Where's third place? James Houghton. He just pitted before the break. So here he comes through turn 12. He's going to take the overall lead of the race right here. With this pass, gets back by DiPietro to take care of the lead in the amateur A class. I'll get it right eventually. And he takes over the overall lead of the race with Eric Dalla Riva in second, half a second behind, lap traffic in front of him as well.
That front wing change Dalla Riva had to make in the pits really helped him out because it promoted him into second on this pit strategy. Now he's fighting with Houghton for the lead legitimately here. This is probably the first battle for the lead we've seen all day. The question is, can they hang on? Morad's 13 seconds back, but he pulled the 13-second gap legitimately at the start of this race. So we'll see what happens, and
here we go, using that draft, headed to the chicane, inside Dalla Riva for the lead. He's got it. Eric De La Riva takes the lead overall and in a amateur. Whew.
But can De La Riva make it to the end on fuel? He had to make an early stop. It was an unscheduled stop. Does he have enough in the tank with that 75% limit to make it to the end? And can he hold off Houghton?
Yeah, I don't think they're done battling yet.
Nope, they're not done at all. Next car up ahead, Michael Puchik again. So that's going to be war flashbacks for our leaders, even though they were the beneficiaries of him last time, but they're going to hope that he doesn't get involved this time. And then up the road as well as Gavin Sanders, who is unfortunately 3 laps down. He actually got one of his laps back. I tell you what, I don't think he's out of it. I don't think Sanders is out of it. He might be 3 laps down, but he's made up a full lap already.
Here comes Houghton for the lead, back in turn 10, inside, way late on the brake, sends it into turn 10, and he's going to retake the lead. What a move by James Houghton. De La Riva was not going to let that go as we've got trouble, and guess who? Gavin Sanders. You just talked about 3 laps down, got a lap back, now he's 4 down and trapped. He's beached right at the entrance of pit road. So he's going to have to tow, and he is in a really bad spot if somebody wants to come to pit road because that is a blind corner. Now he tows, and that's going to cost Gavin Sanders so much more.
Well, he's already lost so much, I don't think he can lose much more at this point. I think it's a hot lap session for him if he chooses to keep going. But Houghton and De La Riva falling back
Austin
a little
Riley
bit.
just had the tow. Hold on. What happened to the 20? He was leading Amateur B. He crashed it. He crashed it in the last corner, coming off turn number 12. Austin Riley tried to get around a lap car of Bruno Fantozzi and got into the grass coming out of turn 12. Almost hit. Who is that? Fantozzi. Oh my goodness, trying to figure out what happened here. Riley trying to get around DiPietro. Here's the replay. DiPietro, the green car. The car right behind him is Riley. Fantozzi went wide and is coming off the access road here off of 12. You'll see it here. Fantozzi goes wide and so close with Fantozzi, and Riley goes straight into the tire barriers on the outside of the final corner. And Austin Riley, who is battling for position number 4 with DiPietro, is now on pit road and stuck with a tow back in the 7th spot right now.
I think Fantozzi may have turned that seat into maybe a pile of mush. That was terrifying. I think he crossed over his front wing technically, but he got lucky to get away with damage. But here's another attempt at a pass for the lead. No, De La Riva stays back. These two are being remarkably careful. I don't think he was too far back. I think he let off the throttle and just stayed in line because he didn't want to make the pass just yet. He was trying to, I guess, self-preservation for both of these guys. They know they've got
cars on the lead lap as John Martin just came out at pit road. Initially, I thought Martin broke the race car. He did not. He's coming in for at least a semi-scheduled pit stop because he actually drove it onto pit road. He didn't just tow back to the box. So Houghton, De La Riva, Morad, DiPietro. Those are the 4 guys left with a shot at the win. And Daniel Morad has cut the gap down a little bit. It's down to 10 seconds between himself and De La Riva.
It's definitely expanding a little bit. It's about twice as much as it was last lap. So maybe Houghton's found something. Maybe De La Riva's lost something. But as of right now, they're pretty far apart. But Daniel Morad, he's the one to watch at the moment. Gap's down to 12 seconds now. It was as much as 15 after the pit cycle cycled through. Now it's only 11.5 seconds up to De La Riva. Last lap for Morad, 1 minute 0.4. Last lap for De La Riva, 1:01.3. So that gap is coming down, whether they like it or not.
Had another crash. We'll see if we can get a hold of it. It looks like it was the 99 of Negovin again, and the 35 of Pipe. I'm not finding it. I don't know where we're finding this at. Okay, we don't know who wrecked. Somebody wrecked.
Somebody wrecked in this race? There's no way.
It's not like we've seen a couple of them tonight or anything. Eric Dalla Riva has fallen off the face of the planet as we know it. He's 2 seconds back on Houghton. Morad closing in the gap for the second spot, but he's actually losing time still to the leader. Houghton a second faster than Dalla Riva that last time by. Morad and Houghton just about even as far as lap times go with 1:04.
I see that pesky 0 in Daniel Morad's gap to gap to the leader. That means it's down to 10 seconds. It's going to get down to 1 digit, I think, and that's when Houghton's going to start panicking. If he's making up a full second per lap and there's 19 minutes to go, that gap's going to come down. Morad's going to be up there as long as he doesn't make any more mistakes or run any more inopportune traffic.
Gotta wonder how much traffic could affect the end of this deal as Houghton continues to pull away. He's got a lot of clean racetrack in front of him. Lap traffic in front of him. Keaton Pipe in the 35, who's going to pull over here when he gets to him, it looks like, and let him by. And then it's John Martin, who's running in position number 7 and is 1 lap down.
There it is. It's 1 digit between the top 3. They're all in the same plane. Morad, a lot of ground to make up, but certainly a lot less than before. Through the S's. 2 very similar iRacing looking cars. Who's that off in the grass? Is that that's the 25 of Bruno Fantozzi. He's not having the best day. He's taking a couple Bruno Fantos as he is 6 laps down, but he's still keeping it rolling, and he's going to try his best to bring it to the end.
Daniel Morad is flying right now. He's set 2 laps now as Houghton just got turned. Trouble in the chicane. The 35 just rear-ended the race leader, and Eric Dalla Riva is going to retake the lead coming out of turn 10 to turn 11 as James Houghton gets run over by the lap car of Keaton Pipe, and the race leader, now the former race leader, is on pit road.
That was the punt of the century. I hope we can see a replay on that. It's unfortunate, but that's 100% on Keaton Pipe, just like 10 car lengths back, and the car wouldn't stop.
And Houghton is furious over the radio right now. Here's the replay, and you see back. Where is he going? Wow.
Yeah, that car was not going to stop, but honestly, maybe just a little bit of target fixation, a little bit of a mistake from Pipe, and when you're going this fast in these cars, a small mistake ends up with big consequences. So it's unfortunate for our leader, but I'd say it's very fortunate for Dalla Riva. He was plummeting behind P1. Now he is P1, but now he's got another faster car in second place.
Dalla Riva to pit road. He's on
can't make
pit
it to
road.
the end.
Daniel Morad's going to come around off of turn number 12 and retake the race lead. So Morad, the pro, overall P1 once again. That's going to put Houghton, I think, in second, depending on where Dalla Riva cycles around. I would imagine if Dalla Riva had to pit, that we may see Morad back on pit road here. We are closing in on 15 minutes left in the session.
Well, remember that Dalla Riva pitted pretty early compared to Morad. It wasn't that much earlier, but it definitely was. So maybe he was just a couple laps short, needed to come in and take a splash. But he was in there for 7 seconds, so that's more than a splash. This is very interesting pit strategy-wise. So if he had to make 2 legitimate stops, I would say that Morad probably has to come in again too.
That would be my guess, is right now that battle for second is heating up. You got 3 cars under a blanket. You've got Houghton, you've got Dalla Riva, you've got DiPietro. They are all battling for the lead in Amateur A and 2nd through 4th overall. They're all on the same straightaway coming down towards turn 10.
Now, unfortunately, Dalla Riva didn't really have the pace for Houghton in that previous stint, but we'll see if we can turn up the wick a little bit here. Bring down that 1 second gap. DiPietro as well. Credit to him. He survived all the way here. I don't think we've seen much of him all day, but that's a good thing as he comes down into the pits.
Yeah, that would make sense since the two guys in front of him have pitted. Now he will come onto pit road. He could be in danger, actually, of getting lapped by Morad, depending on how much time he spends on pit road. And Houghton starting to pull away again on Dallariva for the time being.
Close battle between Steven Nagovin and Luke Tucciaroni. Nagovin trying to get his lap back. I think he's 2 laps down compared to Tucciaroni's 1 lap down. They're exiting onto the back straight right now. You can see them at the back of your shot probably as they crest over the hill.
Yeah, here they come, and that 99 of Nagovin, I can't English, Nagovin to the inside. Tucciaroni trying to be a little defensive there, but the 99 will get by him. Not for position. 6th is Tucciaroni, and then a 9th, a lap behind Tucciaroni, is Nagovin. So no real effects there, but Tucciaroni's not done yet. Looking to the inside in turn 1, side by side as they get ready to get towards turn 2 and the rest of the S's. They stay side by side to make contact. Tucciaroni slides. He's off the racetrack. Contact between Tucciaroni and Nagovin. Tucciaroni drifts it through the grass, able to hang on to the race car. Doesn't look like too much suspension is broken on that car, but too aggressive, not battling for position on the racetrack, and Nagovin questioning the move by Tucciaroni there to make it side by side going into turn 2.
Well, I think when both of them watch the replay, they'll see that they didn't actually hit each other. There was a little bit of an air gap, a little bit of a net code gap there. They were playing it close, but I think they left more than enough room and unfortunately just came to blows because of the reality of the speed of light. Speed of light not working out very well for Gary Woods. He goes for a big blink. Hopefully his internet holds up because he's got a hungry driver behind him trying to get a little bit of a draft. And when you're not on screen, nobody's getting a draft off of you. Tucciaroni lets Wood by. He's coming into the pits. He's got damage from that kerfuffle. Is he even going to make it into the pits?
Oh!
While he's at it, he hits the concrete wall. He's getting a fast repair anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, I think now he may have broken the suspension on that race car. Right on the right front tire. It looks a little bent, probably from that contact with the wall, if nothing else. So right now, we've got just over 12 minutes left. 31 laps have been completed by the race leader, Daniel Morad. We have 3 folks on the lead lap. It's Morad, Houghton, and Dallariva. Morad leads the Pro Series. Amateur A leader is Houghton, and then the Amateur B leader, still, even with the crash, is Austin Riley, who has a 16.5-second lead over John Martin, who's 2nd overall in the Amateur B class.
Bad news for Tucciaroni. He hit the wall exiting the pits. I think he was a little bit impatient on the throttle and just sent it into the concrete wall on the inside. Doesn't look like the damage is too bad. If we can ride on board, maybe we'll see if there's any bending in that steering wheel, but no, looks completely straight to me. I think he's okay. I think he got away with it.
He's lucky. As here comes race leader Daniel Morad onto pit road. Potentially the final stop of the day. He's on pit road. Houghton is 20 seconds back. Let's see if he can make it there. How much of a gap he could try and get on Morad here. As I would imagine, based off of how long Morad would have to be in the pits, Houghton would get the lead, but the gap isn't going to be much. Morad in his box. Tires going on. 5 seconds in the box. 6, 7. He's out in 7.1. He's off pit road in 29.4. Here comes Houghton. Side by side, they almost make contact. Houghton makes the pass on pit exit in turn 2 and takes the lead again.
That just goes to show you the pit deltas are so unbelievably close between these two drivers. The pit delta for Morad between the time he stopped it and between the time he left the pits, 29.1 for Houghton, or for him 29.4, for Houghton 29.1, and those 0.3 I think made the difference here to get Houghton the lead, but it doesn't look like he's going to have it for very long because Morad's all over the back of him to the outside. He's going to be well clear into the braking zone.
Let's see how far Houghton sends it in. Still side by side. A little bit of a squeeze, a block. Defensive line into the chicane. And Daniel Morad with a brilliant move to retake the lead on Houghton. It took half a lap. Lost the lead. Got it back. All in the same lap. Morad rounds it out back out in front with 10 minutes to go.
Little bit of a Pruitt fade, but I can't really blame him. He wanted that position, and he defended it like nothing else. Houghton gets really close with the lap car there.
And that's De La Riva going off course, trying to avoid the 951 of Yuri Yadka, who is now spinning in the S's. Look out! Austin Riley almost had nowhere to go but right into the side of him. As Yuri Yadka slams into the wall with the back of the car and is now going to tow. He was crawling around the racetrack as it was, and that didn't help his cause right there by looping it around in the S's.
Yeah, it's been a struggle, unfortunately, for Stefan. 7 laps down now. But if you want to see an interesting battle, Gavin Sanders, 5 laps down. He's racing the leaders right now. We know he has pace. We know he's half a second faster than the rest of the field. But he's 5 laps down, and he's trying to get at least one of them back. On Houghton here, he did for a moment. And then down the back straight, he lost it because of the draft. He's really close through turn 1. He's going to try and sweep it around the outside. Not close enough. Maybe through here. We know he's late on the brakes, but he's being a little bit tentative. He doesn't want to wreck the leader being 5 laps down, but he definitely wants that spot, and he wants to catch Morad and get one of his laps back.
Well, he's on par speed-wise with Houghton, but he is not faster than Daniel Morad. Morad about a second faster than both of them. So right now, Sanders is on pace with Houghton. Maybe he would be a second-place car. But too many accidents early on in the race, and it cost him, that wreck on the very first lap. Probably cost him a shot at the win. Here comes Sanders around the outside. Clear into the braking zone. Trouble up in front of him. Euridica again. Good grief.
I think Houghton just let Sanders go because he knows that Sanders has the pace to catch Morad. And if Sanders catches Morad and maybe gets him out of the groove a little bit, or dare I say maybe even makes a little bit of contact, that's better for Houghton than trying to defend against Sanders for a position that is completely meaningless. So we'll see if Sanders can actually catch Morad on pace here. They're going to be in a little bit of a sandwich. The lapped car of Leo Mora does get out of the way very kindly, but Mora's got no reason to get out of the way of Sanders. They're both a lap down. But Sanders is actually going to get a little bit of a draft. He got held up on the exit, but he will get a little bit of a draft. Going down the straight, he can see Morad out of the front of that car. He's within touching distance. This is going to get very interesting.
Tell you what, Sanders is in the draft of Morad now. He's proven me wrong. He is fast enough to catch the race leader, Daniel Morad. Try and get one of his 5 laps back. If he can do that, he may have a chance at getting to Gary Wood. Okay, maybe not. Gary Wood is only 3 down, and Sanders is 5 down. Sanders drifting it through turn 2 right there as they've got slow traffic. Euridica again. He gets out of the way. Somehow doesn't take anybody out. That got scary for a moment, but Sanders 2 car lengths back on the leader.
This is pretty much just for glory, so we'll see if he...
Trouble. I think the 41. Furious on the radio. He is ticked off at Leo Mora, who got on the brakes right in front of him. Actually, he did make contact. Houghton did get into the back of him, and now we've got more trouble. Who is that off course? That's Houghton. Second place. Off the course.
Morad and Sanders, they were side by side for a moment, but Morad thought better of actually racing him, so he just let Sanders go by. You can play on your own, my friend. You're 4 laps down now. Good for you. Maybe you'll catch Gary Wood if he makes another mistake. But Daniel Morad, now with that big mistake from Houghton, he's got a 5-second lead over De La Riva. He's got a 10-second lead over Houghton. He's going to be home free as long as there's no more lap traffic trouble.
A note in Amateur B. John Martin has retaken the lead. Austin Riley is in the second spot overall, or 6th overall, second in the class. Who just came on to pit road. Now we've got trouble. That's Thomas Langille that goes around right in front of the race leader.
Yeah, Thomas having quite a bit of trouble today. That's the doesn't spin or something. But Morad, a little bit of a scary moment. I'm hearing him on the radio. He's not especially happy, but luckily he didn't get hit, but he is going a little bit slow. Is he stuck behind somebody, or is there a little bit of ground being made up by Dalla Riva? He doesn't have anybody in front of him, so I don't know.
I think he's just trying to make it to the finish, and Morad is kind of lecturing Houghton a little bit. He's been very unhappy over the radio. First with the 35 of Keaton Pipe, and now with Leo Mora. And they continue to spar back and forth over the radio. But Dalla Riva is closing in the gap. He's almost 2 seconds faster that last time by. This is not over yet for the overall win with under 5 laps to go. There's a wing sitting on the racetrack, but Eric Dalla Riva closing in 2.7 seconds the gap.
Next car for Morad will be Keaton Pipe. He's going to let him by very kindly, just parks it in the back straight, lets him by. He doesn't want to be a moving chicane. Next car up is Gavin Sanders, who we know Morad isn't going to catch. And then it's Puchik and DiPietro and a bunch of others, but they're about half the track ahead. So with 4 minutes to go, Morad could catch them if they make a couple more mistakes, but I think that is kind of unlikely. But we'll see if Dalla Riva has a pace advantage here. He's going to reach lap traffic, and he reaches Pipe at a much worse spot than Morad. Because, of course, when you're the second place car, the lap traffic always seems to help the leader, and it never actually helps you.
Yeah, so Dalla Riva loses 2 seconds now to Morad. It's a 4.5 second gap. So he is way back there right now. And it pretty much is going to set in stone what we've got going on right now. I don't see much else changing as far as the top 6 goes right now, just with how evenly spread out they are. Now, of course, contact could change things up. We've got 3 minutes left to go as Morad crosses the start-finish line coming on to turn 12.
And we have to remember that while we are calling this battle as if it's the battle for the lead, because it is, it's the battle for the glory, the battle for the win overall, but they are being scored separately. So Morad was guaranteed a win no matter where he finished, because he's the only pro driver in the field tonight. Dalla Riva, the leader of the amateur A category, so he'll be credited as a winner in class despite finishing second, but he's still not going to be happy with second. He doesn't want to finish second, he wants to win.
More trouble just up the road. Gavin Sanders. Are you kidding me? Gavin Sanders loops it around in the hairpin right in front of the leader. He got the curb, the inside curb, and then touched the outside curb, and is like driving on ice, and he went around. So he is now back a lap down, but Daniel Morad is in some tight traffic. He's got cars in front of him. DiPietro, who pulls over, and then he's got Uriatko, who's going to push the leader wide in turn 12.
I told you I thought he wasn't going to catch these guys, but I was dead wrong. The pace difference is just very, very pronounced at the moment as we reach the latter stages of the race. He got held up, but well done to him. He got 2 tires on the grass there. You don't normally save that without destroying the car in the wall, but kept it going in a straight line, kept it on the track, and he kept a 6.5 second lead while he's at it, because now Dalla Riva has to navigate Uriadka, who is very slow through that corner. Here's Houghton. Around the outside, nope, doesn't happen.
Uriadka just murdered a whole bunch of cones, and that's why he was a little slow there, because he did go off and kill some cones. Under a minute and a half left for Daniel Morad down the back straightaway. John Martin on pit road, and he had to tell John Martin is crashed. He was your class leader. His car is all torn up on pit road. What in the world happened to John Martin? He was running P5 overall, he was leading the amateur B class. Looking at the replay, coming up through the S's, a horrible crash for John Martin. Lost the car right here. Gets over, doing fine. Oh, he caught the grass and hits the wall just short of the tire barriers. And then the tire barriers he does hit, and it kicks him around. Austin Riley will retake the lead. He was 7 seconds back, and John Martin was in the catbird seat, but now it's Austin Riley who retakes the lead in Amateur B, and it looks like he's got 30 seconds to hang on, and he may capture the flag here and win this class. Unbelievable.
Yeah, with only 2 minutes left in the race, that's the worst possible time to make a mistake like that. Luckily, no, he won't even be on the podium. He's going to lose to Gary Wood and maybe Maguire as well. So that's very unfortunate for Martin, but Daniel Morad's crossing the line for the white flag here.
Yep.
He's got nobody near him. I think he's got this one in the bag.
White flag is down. 000's on the board. This will be the last lap of the race. Daniel Morad, the race leader, has taken the white flag.
Fantozzi just hit the wall in front of him.
Oh, it's crashed.
He just got taken out. He just got taken out.
Bruno Fantozzi just hit the race leader on the last lap. Morad doesn't have much damage. He's in turn 7, trying to limp the car back around. Doesn't have a ton of damage. Morad upset over the radio. Val Di Pietro, I think, had trouble for a moment. He's okay now. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Daniel Morad, tons of adversity today to try and capture the flag. This is a unique situation. They've only run the IR8 or the IR01s once this season. They're back to GT cars next week. Daniel Morad comes around through turn 12, doesn't realize he hasn't taken the checkered flag yet, and he will win at Road Atlanta. He wins in the Pro class. Here comes Eric Dalla Riva around turn 12. He's gonna win the Amateur A class, and we gotta go all the way back and find the 2020 of Austin Riley. He's off in turn number 6 as we have people stopping all over the place who I don't think realize that they haven't finished this race yet. Here comes Austin Riley down the back straightaway looking to win the Amateur B class, and where I thought he did not have a shot because of John Martin, but instead Austin Riley's going to come across the line 4th overall and going to win the Amateur B class. Here he comes through turn 12. Austin Riley wins the 3rd and final class, and now everybody else will come across the line. Phew, what a race.
Well, that certainly was a wild finish. I thought Morad was out of it, but luckily he had those extra inches he needed to not actually hit the spun Bruno Fantozzi. No damage on that car, just a bit of a terrifying run through the grass. If he did get taken out, I think Eric Dalla Riva would be very... Wait a second. At the end of the race, Eric Dalla Riva has just been credited with a win. I think Morad got a penalty.
Morad just got a penalty. I tell you what, he scored 29 seconds back. I think Daniel Morad got like a 40-second time penalty here.
Pit lane speeding,
Daniel Morad,
maybe?
I'm not sure what Morad did, but Daniel Morad has been credited with 3rd spot by the iRacing officials. We'll have to see if this is accurate or not. Oh, you know what? I tell you what happened. Daniel Morad, when he had that contact, he had to go off course. I think iRacing flagged that as a time penalty. When we saw Morad come to a dead stop in the last corner, I think he was trying to get that time penalty to go away because he was running out of time to serve it, and it gave him a black flag. I think Daniel Morad got a penalty because of the contact. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but he's not 1st overall now. On board with him here, there's the contact. He has to go wide. And I think that is the reason that he's no longer the race winner. I think it's because he had to go wide, and iRacing decided to give him a track-cutting penalty, which I believe is you have to give up 3 seconds of race pace, which he has, I think, 30, 45 seconds to do so. He didn't do it in the allotted time, and Daniel Morad still winning in his class because he's the only one here, but not winning overall.
Well, I don't see any reason why you would get a slowdown for running the grass. That doesn't usually happen anywhere, and I've never heard of it happening at that corner. I wonder, we lost the feed right as he was exiting the last corner of the chicane, so I wonder if it might have come from that or something. I don't know. This is going to be a mystery that we may never solve, but that's just absolutely bizarre waste bizarre way to end a bizarre race, and there's still drivers spinning out on track.
Just happy I think the race is over. Let's get through the results here. Eric Dalla Riva, these results are unofficial as it says. Eric Dalla Riva wins overall, question mark, but he wins in the Amateur A class. James Houghton finishing in second in the Amateur A class. Daniel Morad winning the pro level because he's the only guy here. He's third. Everybody else a lap down or more here. Austin Riley in fourth. He wins Amateur B. Then it's Val Di Pietro, Luke Tucciaroni, Stephen Nagovin, Michael Fuchik, let's see, Leo Mora, John Martin, your top 10. I don't think I skipped anybody in that top 10. And then Scott McGuire in 11th, Gary Wood in 12th.
And we continue the used car lot back to Gavin Sanders, 6 laps down ahead of Keaton Pipe. Bruno Fantozzi had an accident with the leader, as well as Keaton Pipe, as well as Gavin Sanders, as well as Stefan Uriadka. Thomas Langiel stayed out of the way. His spins were mostly on his own. Lawrence DeFranco didn't see much of him, but he ran into trouble. Kai Dial, 34 laps down. We didn't even run. Did we run 34 laps? We did. We ran 44 laps.
Yes.
So behind him, Timothy Salvatore. Sam Huard lost it on lap 1, and the rest of the gang on your screen did not start the race, unfortunately, because one of them isn't real.
Right. So right now, we think we have interviews coming here with, I don't know how we're doing this. Are we just doing the winner of each class? So, Dalla Riva, Morad, and Riley are the 3 that we will talk to. So sorry to James Houghton. Hopefully we'll get him next week when we go to Bathurst with the GTE cars. That is next week, same time, same place. We'll be here with you. But for right now, we are awaiting somebody, anybody.
I really hope we get to talk to Daniel Moritz, because I want to know what on earth happened at the end of that race. So hopefully we get him. Currently negotiating with the
and of course
here.
Austin's the only one available that we could talk to right now, other than Houghton, who we could talk to. It sounds like Morad is not happy, and yeah, I don't know, but it sounds like we're trying to get Austin Riley in to talk with us, and okay, there we go. So, Austin Riley, winner of the Amateur B class, a wild race here at Road Atlanta and in these race cars. Let's start first with what on earth we witnessed in those last 5 minutes. You were down 8 seconds to John Martin for the class win. Then with 2 minutes to go, John Martin with a horrific crash, and all of a sudden you wind up with the win in your lap. Take us through those last couple of moments.
The last couple moments of that race were incredible. That is a very hard track to drive, very hard car. I've never focused so much in my life. This is my best finish I've ever had in any of these races, so I'm very happy to take the win in class, and I'm very familiar with Road Atlanta. I've driven it hundreds of times in real life, so it's a great feeling to win first in class.
Now, this track proved to be pretty treacherous in these race cars. Are you happy that you're going to be back in GT cars next week when we go to Bathurst?
I look forward to racing GT cars at Bathurst next week.
All righty. Well, we will send you off here to celebrate your podium, or not your podium, but your victory in the class, and we will see you next week from Australia, the land down under. And best of luck to you there in the rest of the season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is Amateur B class winner Austin Riley. And we'll now bring up James Houghton, who's standing by with Joey Tammon.
Yeah, James Houghton finished third on the road, promoted to second because of some strange circumstances that we still don't have an answer to. But either way, you brought it home second, and most importantly, you brought it home. This was a chaotic race, lots of incidents, lots of accidents. How did you survive until the end?
Not without issue. I mean, I don't know, around halfway through the race, I got destroyed by a lapper going into 10A. So that was quite frustrating because the tires were wearing so poorly. You need to be able to do 15 minutes on each set of tires. And I got destroyed from behind and had to pit early. And then that just screwed my pit strategy in the end because I had to save so much on the tires for the last stint. So this is a little bit frustrating when we were leading with a very large gap, but it is the way it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, lapped cars taking out the leader was kind of a given in this race, and unfortunately, you got bitten by that. But you mentioned the strategy. You said you had to pit every 15 minutes for tires. We initially thought the fuel was going to come into it with that 75% limit, but was that irrelevant? Was it all the tires?
The left rear tire was blowing up before the car was out of fuel, definitely.
Oh dear, that's not what you like to hear, but it is an experimental car. So there's definitely some teething issues that happen sometimes. It's an interesting car. Normally we're driving those GT cars, but how do you like driving this thing, especially at a shorter track like Road Atlanta?
The first time that I drove it was 2 hours and 45 minutes ago, and I was quite impressed with it. The tire wear, I think, is just it's just a thing with Road Atlanta. It's a super high load track with a lot of really high load right-hand corner, so it's going to put a lot of load on that left rear tire. But other than that, I thought it was great. It doesn't get like the nasty aero push of a modern F1 car, and it drafts like crazy. So the racing ends up, being quite good. If it wasn't for some of the incidents in there with other cars, battle to battle or car to car battling is very, very good because of the drafting and because of the lack of the aero push. So no, I had a lot of fun. I'm frustrated with the finish, the result, that's for sure, but I had a lot of fun.
And next week we go back to normal, I guess, in the GT cars, going to Bathurst. Going to be tight quarters there. Have you driven Bathurst before, and do you fancy your chances there?
Yeah, a few teammates and I did the Bathurst 12-hour in the GT3 cars earlier in the year. And, we had a lot of fun. It was really good. So I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure.
And before we get you out of here, you have anyone you want to thank for your second place finish? Any shout outs?
I would only have frustrating comments to say to that, so I'm just going to keep my words to myself.
Hey, it's 9:49 p.m. We're after the watershed. You can say whatever you want. But anyway, that was your second place finisher, James Houghton. Understandably a little bit frustrated, but somebody who's probably not going to be frustrated is the winner. Eric Dalla Riva is with Jacob.
Well, I don't know how in the world you wound up with the overall win, but you wound up with the overall win here, Eric. You were able to at least win the class in Amateur A. Take us through those take us through really that last half hour, because you and James Houghton were putting on a great battle for the lead in Amateur A, pretty much for most of the race. Like I mentioned, the last 30 minutes, a lot of drama with Houghton allowed you to get out in front. But in the end, it looked like you were pretty much overall a second-place car.
Yeah, kind of race didn't really go as planned. Got a little damage there, kind of the first 15 minutes of the race, and had to pit early. And then it kind of became a game of saving tires as much as I could on that middle stint, and then just trying to stretch those tires as long as possible so that I could attack in the last stint. And yeah, the traffic was difficult to work through, and I think it caused a lot of people some headaches.
You talk about that traffic. You had your own adventures trying to get through some of the lapped cars there throughout the run. Is it just these cars that it's so difficult to hang on with these things that, that could be part of the reason that we saw so many incidents tonight? Just the racetrack being too narrow, a combination of the two? What do you think the biggest issue was from your standpoint tonight?
Yeah, the cars are obviously extremely powerful and require a lot of downforce to be driven at pace. And so you got lapped cars that aren't quite up to the pace of the leaders, and they're trying to get out of the way as best as possible on, like you said, a narrow track. And, and then the nature of the track too, it winds back and forth. So they're offline in one corner and then immediately online in the next. It's difficult to time overtaking maneuvers when cars are, some of them are trying their best to get out of the way and kind of really do a good job of it, down the straightaway, and others do a very, unfortunately, poor job picking corners to try and let leaders by. And like I said, even if they're offline, they're going to work their way back online naturally because of the way the track flows. So it's almost just a matter of survival.
Well, congratulations on the overall race win. Congratulations on the class win. And a great day all through the day. And we will see you next week from Bathurst in the GT cars. A little bit back to normal, I would say. Best of luck to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Eric Jalariva, your overall race winner and your Amateur A class winner here tonight from Road Atlanta. Here's what's coming up on STN. The FTF Saturday Night Superspeedway League acceptance on Fridays from Michigan International Speedway. That is Friday, July 23rd, 9 o'clock Eastern, with the Riley Daytona prototypes. Then on Monday, the Four Corner Racing League is back with us for the All-Star Race from Auto Club Speedway. That is Monday, not January, how about July 26th, 8:30 Eastern time start for that. And then we're back with HIP, of course, I had it written down here for a moment. The HIP Motorsports Summer Racing Championship from Bathurst. That is a week from tonight. Same time, 9 o'clock Eastern, or whenever we went live. 8:30, 9 o'clock. I don't even remember when we went live. I think it was 8:30 that we went live. 8:30. We'll be back at Bathurst next week. Plus, don't forget, on Thursday, our coverage shifts over to Podium 2 for Round 2 of the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying iRacing Series. We are coming to you from Homestead on Thursday. Myself, Kevin McAdams, Sean Butler on the call, Justin Melillo down on the pit road, and Zach Johnson pressing the buttons as always. You'll see that over on Podium 2 on Thursday. Final thoughts here, Joan, before we wrap things up.
Well, I think every thought I possibly could have given anyone has been given already. That was a race that I think defies description. You had to be here to experience it, and it ended as confusing as it started. So make sure you tune in for the next round here. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more of a traditional race in the sense that someone doesn't get a mysterious penalty after the flag, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Bathurst. Tight confines. Cars that are suited to the track should be fun.
Either way, that wraps up our coverage here from Road Atlanta. We want to thank you all so much for watching. It's a wild race tonight. That's all we really can say about it. One wild night here from Road Atlanta in the HIP Motorsport Summer Racing Championship. For Joey Tebben and Zach Johnson, our producer, I'm Jacob Hitz. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you here on STN on Friday from Michigan with the Riley DPs for FTF Saturday Night Superspeedway League. Until then, good night, everybody.